If you're a regular watcher of Rich Social Worker, then I probably know at least three things about you. Number one, that you are a consummate learner and grower, and that personal, professional, and financial development are probably important to you. Number two, that you believe that your mindset is something that can be changed and molded, and your money mindset is something that you are actively working on. And number three, that you have a dream and a desire and a goal to be more, do more, or have more, and give more of yourself. And you know that it can be done in a bigger way. And if I'm right about you, then you are going to love the conversation that I had today with social worker Catherine Moore. Now, Catherine is the founder of Social Workers Rise, which is a podcast and a community that brings social workers together and elevates the profession through conversations, through different modalities, and through connection with one another. I was privileged to be on a recent podcast for Social Workers Rise, so I want to encourage you that after you watch this video that you go check that out on her podcast channel as well. So do me a favor, like this video so that the YouTube algorithm can catch on and more people get to see it. You ready? Here's my conversation with Catherine from Social Workers Rise. Catherine, welcome to Rich Social Worker! I'm so excited about the conversation that's about to happen. And because every time we've spoken, it's been just this flow and this flurry of ideas back and forth and discussion. So I'm excited to have my viewers now hear what all the fuss is about that we've been fussing over since meeting. So welcome to the channel.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And fun fact, I have not been on YouTube that I know about. So this is my first first episode.
What's so interesting to me is even without YouTube, so you have a pretty decent following. So you own Social Workers Rise. And could you just talk a little bit, introduce yourself to my audience, and let us know, like, what led you down this path?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question. So my name's Catherine. I am an LCSW based out of California, and I've been a social worker since 2009 when I got my bachelor's. And it's just been it's been a wild ride full of ups and downs. And actually, Social Workers Rise came out of a down period when I was just feeling so burnt out. I was not feeling supported in my role. I mean, my boss was great, but she was also very busy. So I couldn't exactly go for her for support and guidance at any time. So I was curious about what were other social workers doing? What are the more experienced social workers doing? And I was just waiting for somebody to create a platform of support and guidance. And I got tired of waiting, and I realized this is not going to happen, and I just need to step up and do it. So I was at home in my head. I was listening to Andra Day, her song Rise Up, and all of the lyrics in it. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is what social workers need. And so I was like, I'm just going to call it Social Workers Rise. It's a call to action. It's inspiring and empowering. So that started in January 2020 when I launched my first podcast. And I believe in God. I believe God works in like mysterious ways, and the timing is perfect, because obviously I had no idea what I was getting into, but I just knew that there was other social workers who needed support and guidance and to hear from other people like you and I. And so I started that podcast, and then like 2020 happened. So I was glad I started when I did, because yes, through this year, I mean, totally. If we needed support before, like people are starving for support now. Totally. And then they're all being drawn online to YouTube, to Instagram. So Social Workers Rise empowers new and aspiring social workers through relationships and specialized knowledge, which is exactly what I wanted and needed as a new social worker straight out of grad school.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing, my goal is to change the narrative of social work, that we don't have to be stuck. We don't have to feel burnt out as the industry standard. I'm just very passionate about the burnout aspect, because I think it's complete BS that the industry just expects you to tolerate being burnt out. And if you read our code of ethics, they're like, there's no guidance really. It's just figure it out, basically, is what it says. And
Wow.
it's on us. And which it is. I mean, we need to do what we do to take care of ourselves, but that has not been working. And so we need more people. So people like you and I to step in and just empower the social workers to do what they need to do to take care of themselves and to really explore and encourage them to look at their mindset, like what keeps us stuck in these places that we know aren't serving us. They might have served us at one time, but they're not serving us now. So why are we staying there? And so people like you and I who can help other social workers just look at what is going on so that they can be their best and true selves. Because I love social workers. I love social work. I love the field. I love social workers. They're the most compassionate and kind people I've ever met in my life. And they deserve better. We deserve better.
You know what? I'm really interested because a lot of my viewers are, they're attracted to the channel because of the name Rich Social Worker. Plus, I talk about business and entrepreneurship. And so, one of the things that I noticed that you have already done is you already like created a product. Like you're already, branding and marketing and selling. And that's generally not something we see a lot from social workers. We're seeing it more now, but you seem to have, um, connected to this entrepreneurial or business sense, and you're running with the ball for social workers, which is awesome. And I would love to hear a little bit about how did you know how to do that, or what permission did you have to give yourself to do that, to know that you could do all of that?
So it definitely didn't happen overnight. It was a process, and it it was a mindset shift in what I had to do to think about selling, because selling sounds like dirty and like unethical. Like I think of a car salesman when I think of selling. But I had been listening to Tony Robbins actually for a couple years. I had just discovered him, and I went to a seminar. It was like a 5-day immersive seminar, and it completely shifted the way that I thought about helping people and helping myself. So you can help other people without sacrificing yourself. And by honoring your dreams and by honoring your vision and by honoring what you're called to do, that is the golden nugget where you are going to help other people.
Preach, sister. Continue. Sorry, Catherine.
That is it. Yes.
Yeah.
So I had, when I I don't know, I've always had dreams, right? I dreamed of having a house big enough that I could fit my whole family in, and I'm Hispanic, and so that's a big a big family, right? I dreamt of having a house that everyone could come and visit, and we can just have those relationships. And I dreamt of having land that I can plant trees and donate the fruit to the food bank and just help people in that way, like start a foundation. I still want to start a foundation specifically for social workers, because our education is very expensive. So all of these dreams. So what I had to realize was that I have a service that is helping other people. It it is a disservice of me to not tell you about it. If you need what I have to offer, if you need my service, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to tell you about it and put it in your ballpark if you feel like it is a good fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a disservice of me to not tell people about the help that I'm offering. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was the mind shift that I had to just experience and go through, and that I can tell about my services from a place of genuineness because I know for a fact I will help you.
Right.
I know
But
for a fact.
so let me just say, because I can imagine some people listening to this don't understand, or maybe they're thinking that, okay, in my substantive post, in my current job, that means telling you that, hey, we have this service that we offer. But that's not really what you're talking about. You're talking about entrepreneurially, right? So can you just kind of crystallize that for the viewers?
Right. Yeah. So I have a course that I've started with, and I'm passionate about this course because I know that if you are a new social worker who's entering a clinical role, I know that this course is going to help you provide clarity and reduce your stress and anxiety around like not really knowing what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have all of this knowledge that we get in grad school, and what do we do with it?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the course does. It crystallizes that for you so we can help our clients.
What's it
I don't
called?
know if that's Oh, it's
Yeah.
called the Clinical Essentials for the Future Therapist.
Yeah. No,
And
it's
so
totally, when I looked at it, I was like, oh, I wish I had had this. And I thought it was me at the time, right? I thought like everybody else got this in class and I must have missed that class because there's so many things that, you kind of are figuring out on the fly. And it's not that you weren't trained, but maybe like there's so many nuances and just things that a 4-year degree can't teach you, can't prepare you for. So you've really got to figure it out on your own. So when I looked at like some of the modules, I was like, oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. If I was a new social worker, that would be like my graduation gift to myself. What's the response been like?
it's been great. So 100% of the participants would recommend it to their peers. People have had mindset shifts around different therapeutic interventions like genogram. A lot of people think it's BS or don't know how to use it. Maybe
Right.
not BS, that might be a little strong, but they just don't know how to use it. And
Mhm.
so we break it down in how it can be effective in really, really digging deep into people and their story. And especially if you're feeling stuck in a therapeutic session or you feel like there's something more that they're just not telling you, the genogram can really break that down for you
Mhm.
and it can give
Mhm.
you more insight. So, things we go deep into the cognitive model. So, I'm jumping around here, but basically, it's assessment, care planning, documentation, therapeutic modalities, and the cognitive model skill sets, therapeutic skill sets, and termination. So there's a lot in there. It's a
Mhm.
lot of, it's a whole therapeutic process. And so it really bridges the gap between like what you learned in grad school, what you're doing now in the field. And like you mentioned, it's impossible to teach in a
Mhm.
4-year degree.
Yeah.
So we're bridging that gap.
Yeah, totally. Oh, that's so great. So back to my question, I think, like, how did you know you could do this? Like, how did you know that you didn't need a university to come knock on your door or for you to go, asking someone, hey, can I teach this to your students? What made you so confident or so sure that this was something that you could offer? And what I'm really asking is, I'm trying to kind of lead into this understanding for hopefully our viewers that you can give yourself permission to fill in the gaps where you see them. So how did that come about for you?
So I had been simmering on this idea for a long time with the idea that social workers need more support.
Mhm.
And I'm like, well, who am I to do this? I mean, I'm just one person. I don't know what I can really do, but I just knew I had to start. I had
Mhm.
to try something. And that was a podcast,
Mhm.
which, to be honest, I didn't really market my podcast for a couple episodes because I wanted to get the feel of it, get the hang of it, see if I even liked it. I didn't want to make something public and then just like I just didn't like it, but I wasn't going to know if I didn't like it if I didn't
Mhm.
try it.
Mhm.
So I started small.
Mhm.
And once I got going and like, oh, okay, this is actually really doable. So I just kept going and building. And
Mhm.
my first event was actually in March. And there was 8 people there.
Mhm.
It was a
Yeah,
very
great.
small, yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
that's
very
great.
small and intimate group.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, the presentation was like mediocre.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And because I had to practice, I didn't know what I was doing. And but I got good feedback from
Mhm.
them. They told me what they liked and things that really like I could do without.
Mhm.
So I just went from there, and then I offered a free webinar
Mhm.
and for medical social workers, because that's my field is medical social work. I said, well, I do this all day, every day.
Mhm.
And let me just see if anybody needs this, if
Mhm.
anybody is also struggling with the same problem that I had starting out.
Mhm.
And oh my gosh, I got like 80 RSVPs.
Are you serious? That's
Yes,
amazing.
to this free webinar about the pulsed form, or like how to have difficult conversations about this particular medical form.
Yeah.
So so yeah, and I was like, wow, there's definitely a need here. What else can I do? What are my
Mhm.
resources that I have available, because people need the help,
Yeah.
and I'll just do what I can. I'll do the best that I can. It's not going to be perfect. It never will be. And I'm
Mhm.
never totally going to be ready, because you don't get ready for something unless you've practiced it before.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like you can read about how to ride a bike and you
Right.
can try to prepare yourself for riding a bike, but you're never really going to know if you're good at it or if you like it unless you actually get on the bike.
Absolutely. And I thanks for highlighting that, because that's something that, when I coach, so I coach as well. And even this is a lesson that I had to learn. You're not going to learn from the sidelines, right? You have to actually try something, even if there are only 8 people in the room or 3 people in the room or one person in the room. Like you just gotta start something. It's gotta start somewhere. So thank you for that. That's really great.
And you
Um,
have to give your all to
mhm,
that one person, to whoever shows up. You have to be 100%. You give your complete all to that one person because they deserve it.
and you deserve it too, right? You deserve to show up as the best version of yourself at the time so that you can, then get better and build on that. So, what made you reach out to me? I know I just was on your podcast, which was awesome.
I looked up social workers on YouTube because I'm in this space and I'm not on YouTube. So I wanted to see what's going on out there. And you popped up, and I was like, rich social worker, is that even an option? And so I clicked on it and I watched your video about other, I forget what it's called. I'm sorry, but you
Oh, the
talked
three
about,
really rich social workers. Yeah,
yep,
that's one
Brene.
of my most popular videos. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was familiar with Brene Brown, of course, and Susie Orman. I hadn't heard of the third gentleman, but those are very famous social workers. And whenever I see famous people on TV, on Instagram, like making millions of dollars, I think to myself, I have so much more experience and education than this person does. If they can do it, I sure as heck can do it. I just need to figure out how to do it. And that's what I appreciated about you, is that you broke down how they did it.
Mhm.
And so that really got my attention. And I started listening to you and your mindset and how you're talking. And I was like, Eva and I are on the same page. Like, we're right
Same
here.
page, totally.
Yes. And so I had to reach out to you. And
So,
I was so excited because I don't find very many people who are on our same page. So
yeah,
it's awesome to be in the same space as you.
yeah, it's awesome. I think you're right. We are here, and I think there are more social workers who are joining the ranks. And maybe they're not talking as much. Maybe they're not as visible yet. But the reason why I asked you that is because one of the things that stood out to me when we first talked, and even in the interview that I did on your podcast, is that you absolutely are on this rich social work path. Like you're on it. Like you cannot, you don't have an option to not be on it anymore, because once your eyes have been opened, then it's like, well, you got to go. You got to go for it. What do you see as the climate of other social workers in the field as it relates to, what we vibe on in terms of this rich social work mindset and this wealth mindset? Because that's where you operate from, even with the even though you're a medical social worker, and I started in medical social work as well, even with the work that you're doing with your course, it comes from, or it continues from, this belief and understanding that you have value and you can give back value, and that you deserve to be paid for that value as well. So what do you see as the climate of social workers in relation to that?
When when I started talking about social workers don't need to stay broke,
Mhm,
it was the response was very positive,
mhm,
and almost like I was giving them a breath of fresh air or like a drop of water when you're really thirsty, because they were just saying like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, like this is
mhm,
so validating. And the conversation is shifting.
mhm.
I've
Yeah.
heard, I've heard more talk about really honoring our value that we bring to the workplace, negotiating, negotiating your salary. Um, and so I feel like it's shifting, but it doesn't seem like the colleges or the
Mhm,
education system is really there. It seems like the same. When you
mhm,
started about 10 years ago, you mentioned how on the
mhm.
podcast, how people were just not really vibing with the rich social worker.
True.
It seems like that educational piece is still going on, but I do see more of the narrative shifting to where when someone posts, we're not in it for the income, we're in it for the outcome, people will call them on their stuff,
It's true.
and they'll say like, stop posting things like this, which I love. So we're shifting. 2020 is a major milestone. Like, we're never going to be the same. And so
That's
I'm
an
very
understatement.
excited.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
that's
very
an
excited going forward, because I feel like through our pain comes change.
absolute.
So through that pain comes change. We've had a lot of pain this year, but I've also seen a lot of people waking up and be like, I can't do this anymore. I need
Mhm.
to be starting my own business. I can't be burnt out every single day with my clients. It's just not it, it's killing us.
Yeah. So what does being a rich social worker mean to you, Catherine Moore?
Means that I'm able to still give service, that I'm still able to make that change, that I'm still able to touch people's lives, and that I'm also able to do the same for myself, that I'm able to travel this beautiful world and see everything that it has to offer. Experience different cultures. I love different cultures and love knowing where people came from. And my husband, he hates it. Well, he doesn't hate it, but so if we go on a vacation anywhere, I don't necessarily like the tourist places are fine, but I really want to drive through the neighborhoods and see what's going on, see their community centers, see how do the locals live. And that's not always the safest, but you know.
That's true.
But I do love learning about different cultures. So being a rich social worker will help me continue to give, be able to experience the world, and also provide for my family and for the whole family, not just for myself, my husband, my daughter, but for the whole family, which is very important for me.
Thank you so much. All right. So as we close off, where can my audience find you?
Social Workers Rise. We are on Instagram and Facebook. And also I am on LinkedIn under Catherine Moore. And my podcast. Sorry. And my podcast.
Of course. Of course, the podcast. Can you just stand up for a second and show us your beautiful shirt? Where can we get that?
So this is going to be on TeePublic. I can send you the link for it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's only going to be available until the end of the year. It's a special holiday,
Really?
offering. Yep.
Fancy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it says Social Workers Rise.
I love it. Thank you, Catherine. I'm so glad you found me and reached out to me, because I am so glad to have my audience meet you, follow you, and get support and inspiration from you and all of the work you're doing with Social Workers Rise.
Thank you so much.
You're absolutely welcome. And as I always say at the end of my videos on the channel to the audience, you can dream, be, do, or have anything, but it starts with your mindset. Just look at Catherine. So make sure it's a rich one. Thanks for being here, everybody. See you in the next video. Bye.